Usually, at the end of 20th century, we were at the position that the creation of WTO, the tendencies of globalization, they will bring us, for everybody, close together. We will be able to understand each other better. There were some concerns, of course, but let me say that last couple of years, everything is changing on the direction of anti-globalization. Well, if somebody will ask me what is happening nowadays in the world, I would say that the most important tendency is regionalization, not a globalization. At the very beginning of this year, sanctions implemented by the United States against the other part of the world show that there was a problem in the globalization. Why that is happening? Why people are not happy that they started to sign WTO and then they started to violate the rules what they signed. It's very easy to say that there is a not full understanding of the advantages of globalization. No, it's much more serious, much more serious. Maybe 20, 25 years ago, when we were creating this unique tariff system, or then we were trying to create a system of protection of our world against climate change, etc., maybe something was wrong. And these issues are not moving nowadays. Well, these thoughts seems to me they are very important, and I was trying to understand what is happening nowadays in the world. I'm an economist, and it is clear that I'm using economic arguments to explain something not only in the economics, but also in social life, in the culture. Well, but an economist is always determining everything, which is maybe is not right, which could be wrong way of explanation. What I'm going to say, it is just I'm sharing with you my thoughts. I didn't find answers on the questions. The questions are very serious. I will mention them right now. But just take all this what will be presented here as a thought. I'm worried what is going on in the world. The first issue, let's start some very famous characters of the world's economic and social life. Well, these are first 15 states last year having the biggest figure on the GDP per capita. Well, Qatar was the first one, Qatar. Of course, because of natural resources. Among these 15 states, there are different countries. There are 3 Muslim countries, and there are 12 mostly Christian countries. Well, I'm going to show you how it is affecting to the way of management of the economy. But the chart, the graph shows that with the totally different approaches and religions, people are able to reach high level of cooperation. So In other words, so the religion itself is not affecting too much on the how you can organize your economy. It's affecting, but not so much. Well, the last 15 states, mainly located in Africa, well, that's a getting problem because sometimes people used to say that, look, some developing countries are doing well. Have a look to the China. China becomes number 2 in the world. By PPP is even number 1 economy in the world. How is growing right nowadays India? But the gap between most wealthy and most poor country is increasing. Nowadays the problem for the world is Africa for sure. First of all, is Africa. With the 1.5 billion population, with the shortage of resources, and we had here very good analysis, calculating per capita natural resources by the continents. And Africa is 5-6 times less than the other continents. But they are human beings. If we are in the global world, that means that their problem is our problems, or our problems. We cannot see world developing in one way because this is one globe. And we cannot see that the poor countries or problematic countries in some continents, etc., etc. Sooner or later, this has to be solved. So then we started to have a look to the freedom index. For example, is freedom a key issue to be developed or not? Yes, mainly yes, but not in all cases. That's interesting. For example, Qatar is not free country. Well, I'm just bringing this ranking by the relevant institutions. Freedom index is calculated and implemented by Canadian Fraser Institute. You know, I'm just bringing how it is calculated for the year. It's not my ranking. You know. Well, or Brunei or United Arab Emirates, they are not free, but they have very high level economy, per capita GDP. These people are happy, you know. They have their way to manage the economy. Mostly in the Western countries, well, freedom is in a coherence with the economic development level. That's for sure. It's not the case for these countries like Qatar and Dubai. For Muslim countries, it's not the case. Well, usually also last 15 states where everywhere we see that they are not free. They are not doing well in this area. But there are some countries like Niger, like Mozambique, or like Burkina Faso. They are partly free. But what is the difference? They cannot do good things in the economy. So we don't see any direct connection between freedom, democracy, and economic developments. Yes, one could say that mostly when you have freedom, you have a chance to be more successful in the economic dynamics. Democracy index, you know, that's a very interesting thing. Again, this is Economist Intelligence Unit, Britain. They are publishing this index, the author of this index. Well, usually countries in a full democracy are successful. But then again, here we have exclusive cases. Like, for example, United States, this institution considers as a flawed democracy, or the same is with Belgium. Yeah. Well, On the other hand, Qatar or Brunei, United Arab Emirates, we cannot consider them as a democratic countries. And we can say that, again, there is no direct link between democracy and economic success. For the last 15 states, so, of course, mainly we see the authoritarian regime, but there are exclusions. For example, Liberia is a hybrid regime. They had a very good elections a couple of years ago, you know, very good, showing good face on democracy, you know. They were successful there. But it doesn't still, Sierra Leone is the same, or even Haiti or Uganda. But then again, one couldn't say that, you know, we were very successful. We were very successful in the economy. Usually, for all these 15 states, the ratio of the economic growth, if there is any growth, is less than the ratio of population growth. So that means that the poverty is deepening, you know, anyway. Well, don't forget that. When in United States, well, they are doing this year very well, but when in Norway, United States, we have a 2-3% growth, in these countries, we have a population growth 4.5% per year. So that means that you need at least 7-8% economic growth in order to not allow worsening of the situation. You understand where I would like to go? I would like to go to the point, to showing you that, you know, if we continue like this, the world continues like this, you will see growing number of refugees, growing number of migration. Because we are saying that world should be global. If the world is global, we can not consider these countries as countries providing manpower, you know? Whether capital should go to this country to employ these people locally, or they will come to the places where there is a capital. By the way, in the developed countries, the marginal efficiency of capital is less than in these better developed countries. That is why more or more the capital doesn't go to the countries. These people are coming to the capital in the developing countries, and economic growth rate of the world on average is getting down. This is the main reason according to my research. So we cannot say that they are living in Kenya and the problems, this is their problems, how to be developed. No, if we are in one planet, their problems perhaps are our problems. They're not being developed, they are human beings, they are like we. They have some quality, they're trying to find a solution for themselves, for their families. And we are seeing streams of migrants. Nowadays we have something like 275 million migrants. This is the migrant, this is the stock. During the crisis of 2008, the number of migrants was just 130 million. Could you imagine? In the developing countries, half of the newborn babies, they will born in one country and they will die in the other country. That's the statistic. So, well, of course, there are another indexes like Economic Freedom Index. Well, this is provided by the Wall Street Journal, and Press Freedom Index. Or Economic Freedom Index shows that if the economy is repressed, mostly unfree, moderately free, mostly free, and Press freedom index, very serious situation, difficult situation, lots of problems, satisfactory situation, and good situation. By doing business, that's a very interesting thing. That's the figure managed by the World Bank. You know, by example, Qatar is doing well in the economy, but you know, the rank of the country in the economic freedom is 83. In not all the cases we can state that freedom in the economy brings some result, positive results. Or, you know, by example, very good case are countries like Norway, Denmark. Always they have a good ranks, and they have a good organized economy. But in some other cases, we see countries, and Qatar is a very good example, but another example could be Luxembourg or Brunei. Luxembourg is not a free country in terms of economy. Luxembourg is totally different from Denmark or from Norway. And then again, but the economy per capita GDP shows very high figure. So, when it comes to the last 15 states, always they are in a bad position. They are trying versus limitation of the economic freedom to achieve some terms of economic growth, and mainly they are not successful. Happiness index, you know, a very interesting thing also. You know, in fact, what is important in this life? To have good economy, to be depressive, or to be happy? That is very interesting. Or in France, people are not happy always, but in Chile, people are happy. In Cuba, people are happy. Or in Korea, I mean two of them, North and South. In South, you have a good living standard. This is the number one country of sharing with Israel on the scientific developments. You know, more than 4%. Two countries in the world are spending 4 and more % on the scientific researches. These two countries are South Korea and Israel. So, you can imagine how is the situation in North Korea, but the number of suicides per 100,000 people is the same in both Koreas. People are depressed. Or usually, the most problematic country in this world is, I don't know on what reason, is Guyana. People are killing, a very essential percentage of dead people for a year. They are killing themselves. Depressive countries are also countries like Lithuania or Finland. So, usually in Latin America, people are happy. But again, there are exclusions here. And after having this great research, I came to the conclusion with my team that in fact, despite we are talking on a unique and global civilization, in fact, we have 4 types of civilizations. Well, everywhere you can have a market economy. Everywhere, everybody is trying to show the good figures on the business freedom, activity, etc., etc. But I came to the conclusion that, first of all, there are 4 main civilizations by the ways of life. The first one, I can start even from this Western civilization. Here we see domination of the individuals over the state, religion, social institutions. I was considering 4 institutions: individuality, religion, social institutions, and the state. Well, everywhere you have these four institutions, but the behavior today is totally different. In Russia, for example, you have the same market economy like in Germany. You are free. What is market economy? When market decides the level of prices, etc., etc., but they are totally differently organized. Russia belongs to the Orthodox civilization, where among these four institutions, the main important institution is the state. Everything should be organized in order, first of all, to satisfy the needs of the state. Then again, even having market economy, it is reorganized in the country like this, and they consider that like this they will be able to get more advantages. Western countries, here all legislation, culture, institutions, first of all are trying to stimulate private entrepreneurship. You know, and competitiveness, free markets, etc., in these countries are organized in a different way. East civilization or Islam. Here we see the domination of the religion over the state, individual and social institutions, because Sharia should be respected. By example, in Orthodox countries, state is just managing the religion, even appointing high-level clerics in the religion. Totally in other ways, it's organized in the Islamic countries. Very interesting thing is Islamic banking. We had, in the medieval in Europe, we had such a thing, but Islamic banking is prohibiting the interest for the loans, etc., etc. You know, you can participate in the business, but you cannot give money to ask them back with the interest, with the percentage. And very interesting way is Far East. For time being, excluding Japan, having in mind China, some Buddhist countries, or Korea, South Korea, they're very successful in dynamics today. And in these countries, the main thing, the main institutions to be protected, to be provocated, stimulated, is social institutions. For example, in China and Korea, you will be never far from the company. Company is your life. Never far. The rate of unemployment in these countries is something like 2%, 3%, but it's normal. It's not because somebody hasn't any job. It's because it is because that 2-3% people have a right to not work. You know, they don't want to work. It's normal. And never it grows up from 3% or 4%. No, never. Let's take last crisis, 2008. There was a huge unemployment. Today in Germany it is 5%. On that time it was more than 10. In France it was 12. In Spain it was 20%. But the reaction of these countries, China or South Korea, is that they're not firing people. When they are getting themselves in hard conditions of the economy, they are not firing. They are not using this tool. So this is my main conclusion. That in fact, in today's world, independently, if the economy is based on the market, on the rules of market, etc., we have four types of civilizations, 4 types to organize social economic life. Economics, social, cultural life, state, and religion these are main actors for human beings in the modern world. And we see that everywhere we have these four institutions, but everywhere the combination is different. The combination is different. So this is what I was intending to bring to your attention, and which I consider that it is something that should be discussed seriously. Well, thank you for your attention.